Your money is worthless. The pharmacy is locked. The water stopped running this morning. This isn't a movie. This is what economic collapse actually looks like. Here's the truth nobody wants to face. When systems fail, gold and cash become meaningless. You can't eat gold. You can't use it to purify water or keep your family safe. Today, I am sharing 12 ordinary items that become more valuable than money itself. Lessons drawn directly from Venezuela, Argentina, Zimbabwe, and Bosnia. These aren't theories. They're proven by history and real survivors who lived through the worst. And here's what makes this interesting. Number 7 was used as actual currency in World War II, and number 12 has been money for thousands of years across every civilization on Earth. Welcome to Essential Pantry, where we cut through the noise and focus on real-world preparedness. If you want practical survival knowledge without the fear-mongering, hit that like button and subscribe. Now, let's dive into what actually matters when everything falls apart. Let's start with the most immediate crisis you'll face: water. When society unravels, water treatment plants fail, and we're talking hours, not days. Most people never think about where their water comes from until they turn on the tap and nothing happens. In every single collapse scenario throughout history, water becomes the first critical emergency. And it brings back diseases we thought were extinct: cholera, dysentery, typhoid. These aren't just uncomfortable, they're killers. Clean water is the absolute foundation of survival. You can go weeks without food, but only days without water. And here's what makes this worse. Water is heavy and nearly impossible to store in large quantities for the long term. A family of 4 needs about a gallon per person per day just for drinking. That's 120 gallons per month. Where are you going to store that? This is why water purification capability is worth more than almost anything else. Stock multiple purification methods: tablets, portable filters like LifeStraw or Sawyer, and purification drops. Diversify your approach, because if one method fails, you need backups. A $20 filter can provide a year's worth of clean water for one person. Think about that value proposition in a world where clean water determines life or death. In disaster zones around the world, the people with water filtration skills and supplies become community linchpins. They trade clean water for food, shelter, and protection. When you can solve the water problem, you become invaluable. Now let's talk about something that kills more people in collapse scenarios than violence or starvation combined: infection. A simple cut on your hand can become a death sentence without antibiotics. When medical infrastructure collapses, pharmacies are looted or emptied within days. Basic medical supplies become impossible to find. During the Soviet collapse in the early 90s, people with medical supplies became unofficial medics in their communities. They traded their knowledge and resources for food and essentials. Basic wound care and hygiene skills, combined with the right supplies, made the difference between a minor injury and a life-threatening situation. So what do you need? First aid supplies are obvious: bandages, medical tape, gauze, antiseptic wipes, antibacterial ointment. But go deeper. Stock hospital basics that most people overlook: gloves, masks, rubbing alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, iodine. These items disappear instantly in a crisis. And here's the beautiful part. You can build a serious medical kit for under $100 if you know what to buy. We're not talking about a Band-Aid box. We're talking about a kit that could save lives when there's no hospital to run to. And in a barter economy, medical supplies hold their value because the need never goes away. People get hurt, people get sick, and you'll have what they desperately need. Let's move to something controversial but absolutely critical: ammunition. In a collapse, ammunition serves 3 vital purposes: protection, hunting, and trading. When law and order break down, the ability to defend yourself and your family becomes paramount. As stored food runs out over months, hunting becomes essential for survival, and ammunition is universally recognized as a barter item with standardized value. Focus on common calibers: 9mm, .22 LR, 12 gauge, and .223/556. These are what people own and what they'll be looking for. Store it properly, using desiccant packs to prevent moisture damage. And here's something interesting. Even if you don't own firearms, ammunition is compact, standardized, and incredibly valuable for trade. During the 2008 financial crisis, ammunition prices soared 10 to 20 times their normal cost almost overnight. In a true barter economy, ammunition becomes a form of currency. It's durable, it's portable, it has clear value, and it solves immediate problems. That's what makes it worth more than paper money or even precious metals in the short term. Now here's something that sounds almost too simple to matter. Cheap plastic butane lighters. Forget matches. Forget fancy fire starters. In a collapse, cheap disposable lighters are pure gold. Fire is essential for everything: cooking, boiling water for purification, warmth, and even for signaling for help. But it's more than practical. The psychological comfort of instant, reliable fire cannot be overstated. When everything around you is falling apart, being able to create fire instantly with the flick of your thumb provides a sense of control and normalcy. Why do lighters win over other fire-starting methods? They're sealed units that work in almost any condition, unlike matches that get wet or ferro rods that require skill and dry tinder. Lighters have an incredibly long shelf life. I've personally used lighters stored for over a decade, and they worked perfectly. And their barter value is legendary. During Yugoslavia's collapse in the 90s, a single lighter could be traded for a week's worth of food. Think about that. One lighter, 1 week of food. Their minimal cost right now, you can buy them in bulk for pennies each, belies their immense value in crisis. Buy lighters in bulk, vacuum seal them with silica gel packets, and distribute them in various locations around your home and property. When someone needs fire and their matches are soaked, you'll have what they need. Now let's shift from immediate survival to longer-term sustainability. Once the initial panic subsides and stored food begins to run out, the ability to grow your own food becomes absolutely critical. This is where heirloom seeds come into play, and they might just become the actual currency of a post-collapse world. Seeds enable self-sufficiency, and they multiply in value. You plant one seed, you get dozens or hundreds more. It's exponential wealth in its purest form. But not just any seeds will work. You need non-GMO, heirloom, open-pollinated seeds. These breed true and can be saved year after year. Hybrid seeds from the hardware store, useless after 1 generation. Stock variety, tomatoes, beans, squash, peppers, herbs, and greens. Keep them in their original packaging for verification in trades. During the Great Depression, victory gardens were literally the difference between survival and starvation for millions of families. In a true collapse scenario, seeds represent the future, their hope in a packet. And here's what makes them brilliant for barter. Everyone will eventually need them. They're lightweight and easy to store, and their value increases over time as food becomes scarcer. The person with seeds controls food production. That's real power. Next up is something that might surprise you: coffee and caffeine products. Before you dismiss this as a luxury, understand that caffeine is the world's most widely used psychoactive drug. Physical dependence is absolutely real, and withdrawal can be debilitating. Headaches, fatigue, irritability, depression. In a collapse scenario where you're suddenly doing manual labor to survive, hauling water, chopping wood, standing guard, caffeine becomes even more valuable. It provides energy when you're exhausted and a precious sense of normalcy in chaos. Stock instant coffee because it stores easier and lasts longer than beans. Also stock tea bags, energy drink powders, and caffeine pills. Diversify for different trading opportunities. Coffee was literally used as currency during World War II. In occupied territories, a pound of coffee could be worth its weight in gold to someone desperate for that boost. The beautiful thing about caffeine products is they're consumable, which means ongoing demand. Unlike a tool that you buy once, coffee gets used up. People will keep coming back to trade for more. That's the kind of barter item you want. Now let's talk about alcohol, and I'm not talking about this as a vice, though that's certainly part of its value. Alcohol serves multiple critical purposes in collapse: medical use for disinfection and pain relief, psychological use for stress relief and sleep, and of course, trading. Small bottles maximize your trading opportunities and are easier to store. Think airplane-sized bottles or pints, not handles. You want flexibility. Focus on vodka and whiskey because they store well indefinitely and serve multiple uses. Avoid beer and wine, poor storage characteristics, and lower value per volume. Alcohol disappears from shelves within hours during any crisis. We've seen this in every hurricane, every disaster, and its consumable nature ensures ongoing demand. Someone might trade their last valuable possession for a bottle if they're desperate enough for the relief from the stress and trauma of collapse. One of the most overlooked categories is hygiene products, but this might be the most important for maintaining human dignity and preventing disease. We're talking about soap, toothpaste, toothbrushes, feminine hygiene products, razors, shampoo, and dental floss. Poor hygiene leads directly to disease outbreaks. In a collapse where medical care is limited, preventing illness becomes far more important than treating it. But beyond the practical health benefits, there's enormous psychological value in being clean. The ability to brush your teeth, wash your body, and maintain basic grooming provides a sense of normalcy and self-respect in chaos. Bar soap lasts longer and takes up less space than liquid soap. Travel sizes are perfect for trading because they're affordable and convenient. Feminine hygiene products have extremely high trade value and store indefinitely, and dental care prevents problems that can become life-threatening when there's no dentist. These items are universal, consumable, and represent dignity in the midst of chaos. Stock them in quantity and you'll have months of trading power. Let's move into the infrastructure category with repair supplies. In an extended collapse, everything breaks. Tents develop tears, backpacks rip, clothing wears out, tools malfunction. Without the ability to repair these items, your survival capability slowly erodes with every break. Duct tape is the obvious choice, but go deeper. Stock WD-40, superglue, zip ties, paracord, and baling wire. Each solves different repair problems. Duct tape for fabric and quick fixes, superglue for broken plastics, JB Weld for metal repairs, paracord for countless applications. Repair supplies extend the life of everything you own and have massive trade value. But here's the real power. The skill to fix things, combined with the materials to do it, makes you invaluable in your community. When someone's water filter breaks or their tent is torn and you can fix it, you become the person everyone needs to know. The next item is batteries, and in a grid-down world, this becomes obvious fast.
Battery-powered devices become useless paperweights once the batteries die. Flashlights, radios, medical devices, children's toys, everything requires batteries, and they disappear from store shelves instantly in any disaster. Stock the most common sizes, AA, AAA, and 9-volt, but also think about specialty batteries for watches, hearing aids, and other specific devices. Someone with a hearing aid will trade almost anything for the batteries that let them hear. Consider both disposable and rechargeable batteries, and invest in solar chargers for long-term sustainability. Batteries provide light, information, communication, and medical support. Their trade value is immense, especially for people with specific needs. And unlike many survival items, batteries are something everyone immediately understands the value of. Propane and small fuel containers solve immediate critical needs when utilities fail. Propane provides heat, light, and cooking capability. The 1-pound green camping propane tanks are perfect. They're portable, standardized, and store indefinitely. Right now, these tanks are cheap. In a crisis, they're invaluable. Stock adapters so you can refill small tanks from larger ones for long-term sustainability. Also stock the equipment that uses propane, camp stoves, heaters, and lanterns. When the power grid fails and natural gas lines are shut off, propane becomes one of the only ways to cook food and heat your home. It's perfect for trade because it's standardized. Everyone knows what a 1-pound tank provides, and it solves problems that cannot be solved any other way when infrastructure collapses. Finally, let's talk about something ancient, something that's been used as currency for thousands of years across every civilization: salt. Salt has been literal money throughout human history, and there's a reason for that. Your body requires salt to survive. In a collapse scenario where you're sweating from manual labor and your diet changes dramatically, salt deficiency becomes a real and dangerous threat. Symptoms include muscle cramps, dizziness, confusion, and eventually death. But salt's value goes far beyond nutrition. It's essential for food preservation. Before refrigeration, salt was the primary method of preserving meat, fish, and vegetables for long-term storage. When the power goes out permanently, this knowledge and this supply becomes critical. Salt also has medical uses for wound cleaning and treating infections. And here's the beautiful part. Salt never expires, ever. It's a rock. You can stock massive bags of salt for incredibly cheap right now, and it provides permanent value for both trade and personal use. Let me wrap this up with some practical wisdom. Prepping doesn't have to be expensive or overwhelming. Start small. $50 can build a 90-day food supply if you know what to buy. Focus on these 12 essentials and build your stockpile over time, not all at once. But remember this, the most valuable preppers aren't just those with supplies. They're the ones with skills, water filtration knowledge, medical care ability, repair expertise, and gardening experience. In a collapse, these skills combined with the right supplies make you a pillar of your community, not just a survivor. These 12 items, water purification, medical supplies, ammunition, lighters, seeds, coffee, alcohol, hygiene products, repair supplies, batteries, propane, and salt, they're not theoretical. They're proven by history. They're what worked in Venezuela, Argentina, Zimbabwe, Bosnia, and every other collapse scenario we can study. The best time to prepare was yesterday. The second best time is right now. Which of these 12 items will you stock first? Let me know in the comments below. And if this video opened your eyes to what real preparedness looks like, share it with someone you care about. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next video, where we'll break down exactly how to build a 3-month food supply for under $100. Remember, when money loses its meaning, practical supplies and community become the only currencies that matter. Stay prepared, stay practical, and we'll see you in the next one.